We've brought two of the best jump jockeys of all time together, Sir Anthony McCoy and Barry Geraghty, to relive some of their amazing memories throughout the years.
They're off.
More of that, and we had at Fisher's Cross in here as well.
I rode the wrong one again, Leonna. It's basically, unfortunately, what I did. The first time more of that ran a hurdle race in Folkestone, John Joe said to me he thought he was useless or he hadn't shown him nothing. And I rode a horse of Warren Greatrix as it was 1-4, and I was going to the last hurdle thinking I was going to win, and Richie McLaren galloped up alongside me going, whoa boy, and it was more of that, and he won it 20-1 or something first time out. So
that should have been a lesson.
That should have been a lesson. And then he had progressed. He won a race in the Haydock, and he won the Rail Keel then, I think. And
he was a horse that didn't show much at home as well, I believe.
No, it was hard to. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like he was working the place down and he was the best workhorse that John's ever had. So it was hard to judge how much he was improving at the time and how well he was going, because he never went at home. At Fisher's Cross had beaten the new one on trials there as a novice hurdler over 2.5 mile. He'd won an Albert Bartlett. At the time I thought that he may be more of a stronger stayer. I just thought too much about it really. Just thought I rode the wrong one when I look at it now.
At Fisher's Cross, who's been fluent enough over the first 3 flights of hurdles, races in 5th place ahead of Medinas, who shows in 6th as they prepare to turn downhill. More of that then. Annie Power, Zarkanda and Salubrious is held up at the rear of the field.
Annie Power was favourite, and a red hot favourite. She was unbeaten, and this is actually the only day she got beaten in her career. She was keen, obviously, stepping up on trip, and JP said to me, AP was going to be reasonably handy at Fisher's Cross, and JP said, why didn't you just drop in and follow the mare? So that was the plan, and don't be in any rush.
The owner was keeping both sides of the race covered.
Yeah, but sure, it made sense.
Absolutely.
And being honest, it was never a tactic that I would have loved as such, but if ever there was a day to do it, and I'm not saying that because it worked out, but it was by far right. She was red hot. She was the one to beat.
Annie Power now moves within a couple of lengths of Big Bucks into 7th place. Then behind these we have more of that, Zarkanda and Salubrious.
You know, when you're on the warm favour like that, when decisions are forced on you, it doesn't always work out as well for you. But if you're on an outsider, you'll roll the dice and you'll take a chance and you'll ride it for luck. But it's hard to ride an odds-on shot for luck. And you can see
if it really goes
it backfires, yeah. But look at her there. She's in Ruby's hands. She's keen. She's burning. She came back and won the champion hurdle side of the year later. So that's how much.
I suppose you're looking at when you're riding an odds-on shot like that. You're thinking to yourself, you want to put yourself in a position where did I have her in a position where she could win.
Annie Power still lobbing along in 7th place as they approach the middle one of this trio of flights.
She got outstayed, as you'll see in a minute or two, but if you're watching him riding her, you're thinking that he always had her in a position where she could win. If he was riding her again, he'd have taken his time more and followed more.
But at this point of the race, you know, it's starting to heat up. Ruby has been keen, and I'm really aware of that. My fella's just coming alive. He's pinged through there, and we're top of the hill. We're starting to bunch and look for position.
Rev de Cibilla, it is who leads. From in second, Celestial Halo. Big Buck, Sam Twiston Davis just pushing along slightly on the inside. Annie Power quickly moves up the inside of Medinas.
I'm mindful that I'm following Annie Power. And there's a time when you have to take hold of the script yourself and decide, right, well,
I can't just stay here
this now. So at this point here, a gap opens up and I switch in and Ruby has to switch out. And he burned a good bit of petrol circling the field.
Annie Power has now pulled off the rails to try and begin her challenge towards the centre. Rev de Cibilla, rule the world at Fisher's Cross.
So he's making up a length or two there. I've sat, now we square up as we face the hill. And I haven't had to ask for as much to that point as he's had to do. AP's pushing away in front and probably dreading the sight he's going to see in a second.
Annie Power pushes her way through to challenge at Fisher's Cross, and more of that at the last. More of that, and Annie Power, a changing of the tide of the stayers, both with unbeaten records, come to the last together.
Pings the last now.
He just outstayed her, didn't he, really? On the day.
But he picked up because I had that little bit in the tank. She galloped, she didn't stop. No. We're pulling away from you in third.
It's more of that, Barry Geraghty, narrowly from Annie Power, who enters unknown territory, and it's more of that, who's going to preserve the unbeaten record. More of that, 5 out of 5.
But I just had more in reserve, and for me, if you can conserve, that's the extra bit you haven't to finish. But she gave it away in the first 2 mile. by pulling the way she did.
When you see the stairs hurl, when you look back at the horses that dominated, like the Barracudas, the English Drivers, the big bucks, they were all like nearly going around like they were asleep. I suppose that's what Annie Power had against her. She never looked like she was.
And she was a champion hurler 12 months later.
She was a champion hurler trying to win over a staying
That wasn't too
distance.
bad, I suppose.
Worked out okay.
But he was a gorgeous horse. He was a very, very classy horse.